Welcome to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is Tuesday, June 30th, 2026. And just like that, the month of June goes, wow, goodbye. I'm Ken Rosato taking calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Somebody who has the meteorological reason why June just goes is meteorologist Mike Favetta. And here he is. Mike, so it almost feels like there's only 30 days in June as opposed to like
Mhm.
July with 31.
It feels like that. It feels like that. But I would say that given the heat forecast for this week, you'd kind of want it to look more like July, right? Because it would be odd if this extreme heat were coming in the middle of May, for instance. Because Ken, by the end of this week, we're going to be sweating in places we never knew we had. I mean, there is some real hot weather coming. A little bit scary too when you look at the forecast going into, say, Friday and Saturday with these heat indices well over 110 degrees. That's why there's already an extreme heat warning up, not for today or ending tomorrow or even Thursday. It goes all the way until Saturday. That is a long stretch of hot weather for all of New Jersey, and that's why we've got some really unusual weather on the way. And it's all due to this big high pressure sitting down to our south and west that keeps these record highs pumping in the record heat across New Jersey as soon as tomorrow, and then we see this repeat each and every day for the rest of this week. So you can see why it's going to be so warm. There's not even a cloud across most of the Northeast, so this very hot and humid weather stretches in through the rest of the day. And even the futurecast shows with a possible round of storms just giving us the extra humidity that keeps that heat index so high. The forecast keeps us really, really warm, and there's not much moisture to go around except for that unusually high humidity that keeps barreling through each and every day. So that's something to keep an eye on, especially as we head into the rest of this week. Gotta stay cool, stay hydrated, find a place to stay cool because it's going to be very warm in the days ahead. We'll give you more details on how hot it gets and the forecast for the weekend for the all important holiday, Ken. It's coming up in just a few minutes.
I'm going to sell giant blocks of ice to sit on. What do you think?
That's a cool idea. Cool
Yeah,
idea.
a nickel a block. I mean, I'll be a millionaire in like a century. Thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate it. We'll check back, sir. It is already what do we have here? Upper 60s. Yes, 68 degrees right now in northern New Jersey, 67 degrees in Trenton. Los Angeles right now it is 65 degrees, 65 also in San Diego. We look at traffic and we have a couple of things right now in the Northeast. We start with the Garden State Parkway, disabled vehicle southbound south of exit 129 Woodbridge, all lanes open. 195, there's a crash with injuries by exit 8 Robbinsville. All lanes are closed. We have a disabled tractor trailer on the turnpike in a roadway northbound north of interchange 12 in Carteret. The right lane is blocked, and Route 47 down toll in both directions impacted there south of Orange Street, Millville. All lanes currently closed. Hudson River crossings, we have 35 minutes now at the Holland, 30 at the Lincoln. We go to the GWB upper and lower levels. It is already 35 minutes. You can see the upper level on the right, lower on the left, and very, very heavy in both cases. It's going to cost you 35 minutes. To Los Angeles we go. We have a hit and run, no injuries reported, and this is in Baldwin Park on Route 57 at Grand Avenue off ramp. There's a traffic collision in central LA right now on the 101 at the 101 South Conduit, and there's a hit and run with no injuries reported. This is in Antelope Valley at East Avenue and 90th Street East. In the news now at 4 minutes past the hour, a number of decisions from the U.S. Supreme Court yesterday. The justices decided not to take up an appeal by President Trump against his accuser, E. Jean Carroll. That means that Trump will have to pay Carroll a civil award of $5 million. Federal Reserve Board Governor Lisa Cook will get to keep her job for now. The court ruled that President Trump could not fire her via social media, which he did on Trump's social, Truth Social, I should say, as he attempted to do so. But the court did rule that the dozens of federal agencies created by Congress over the decades do actually fall under the purview of the executive branch, meaning the president has the power to hire and fire agency heads and workers. So I guess if President Trump really wants Ms. Cook gone, now if he goes through the proper process of doing so, he could remove her or just, you know what? She just fought the good fight, leave it alone. Probably the best bet. The one agency, by the way, that remains quasi autonomous because of the way it was founded, is the Federal Trade Commission. The justices ruled that states can count ballots in the days after an election, like California just did, as long as they are postmarked by Election Day. Well, I mean, if you think about it, we do that for the IRS already, so there's precedent, right? As long as it's postmarked by midnight or 11:59 when it's due, then it counts. So if we do it for one federal agency, you got to be consistent. I get it. Right now, 14 states and the District of Columbia count ballots received days or weeks after Election Day, as long as it's postmarked by Election Day. So that is something the Save America Act aims at changing, at least when it comes to federal elections. They don't have any control over state elections like governor. Otherwise, one state could hold up the results of the presidential election for literally weeks or months. Or if it comes down to a vote, say California, it's like 50-50, comes down to one vote, you declare it for a certain candidate, then the next day you get a vote that came in from Guam where there's a military member, and it tilts the election in the other direction. Now what? You've already declared it. So what do you do? I mean, that's the kind of silliness we're talking about. And the court decided not to take a case involving former Harvard Law professor Alan Dershowitz that could have overturned the Sullivan versus New York Times decision. That decision creates a higher burden of proof for a famous accuser who believes they were defamed by a media outlet. So the court's declining to hear the case means Sullivan versus New York Times remains the status quo. So it hasn't changed in any way, just stays exactly the way it was. Today is the last day the court is in session for the entire season, and there are two major decisions everybody's waiting for. One is on the topic of birthright citizenship. That is, if a woman gives birth on U.S. soil, is the child automatically a U.S. citizen? That's something that is not common just about anywhere else on earth. You are the citizen of whoever your parents were citizen of. And then when you go home, that's it. You say you're from France, you visit the US, mom gives birth. Pardon me, I'm fighting a cold. Mom gives birth on US soil, but you're French because mom and dad are French. You go back to France and you're a French citizen. That's the way it is anywhere else in the world. But in the United States, and it was set up on purpose to allow slaves that became free to become citizens. Same thing with Native Americans, so that they would become US citizens at the end of the Civil War. That's why that was created. It was never created to allow people sneaking in from other countries 2 days from when they're going to give birth and have a baby, an anchor baby, who would then be a citizen, so that when they are 18, you come back to the US with little Jojo, who was born there 18 years ago. They're a citizen, and now they could apply to have you come in. They call that chain migration. That's the game. Other countries have been literally treating us like suckers. And we just like, okay, no, Corey, that's the way we wrote the law. Let's just let it stay. Come on, people, wake the F up. That's what this is right now. And we just keep thinking, put our thumb up our backside and think that's just fine. See, the issue here is the Democrats like it like that. Why? Because they love to give the goodies to people coming in from other countries, and that way they have Democrat voters for life. Also, people from other countries tend to settle in big urban centers, which hikes the number of congressional representatives in those centers, the big cities. And where you have those big urban centers, 90% of them tend to be Democrat. Think about it. So the more Democrats, the more people you have here, legally or illegally, the more Democrats you have. This is all part of the game. All part of the game. So, by the way, there's also the issue today of transgender rights and whether schools can allow biological males to compete on the same teams as biological females, which many argue is in direct violation of Title IX. So those are two enormous, probably the two biggest issues of the entire season happening today. We should know before 11 a.m. So keep your eye on the Supreme Court. President Trump says the U.S. will meet with Iran and Qatar today after both sides agreed to stand down for now as negotiations remained on track following strikes over the weekend. Meanwhile, in Lebanon, fighting between Hezbollah and Israel continued over the weekend despite a recent agreement between the countries. Iran has demanded a full withdrawal of Israeli forces from Lebanon as part of a final deal with the U.S. in the Strait of Hormuz. Pardon me. Marine traffic has modestly picked up in the last few days. A growing number of vessels also using a route close to the Omani coast, and that is threatening Tehran's leverage over the waterway. So if you can go closer to Oman, where there are no mines planted, you can get everybody through, although it's a narrower pass, so you can't have the same flow. Maybe you'll have 20%, but at least they'll go through safely. Just in time for Independence Day weekend, gas prices now below $4 a gallon throughout much of the U.S., according to AAA. The national average for a gallon of regular now stands at $3.86. That's also the average price in the state of New Jersey, by the way. We pretty much mirror the national average, though some people have reported seeing prices as low as $3.70 a gallon in the Garden State. The experts say as long as the Strait of Hormuz remains open and oil keeps flowing, we will likely see those prices continue to drop, likely below $3 in the next month or two. 11 minutes after, and scary moments in Clifton, New Jersey, where police say a man in his 60s was stabbed in the head and neck by a younger man, allegedly by the man on the screen. Police say the stabbing happened on Friday. Investigators say Anthony Schweiderek was arrested in connection with the stabbing of an unidentified 62-year-old man. The injuries are considered life-threatening. The suspect may have lived with the victim. Prosecutors charged Schweiderek with attempted murder and unlawful possession of a weapon. If convicted, Schweiderek could face up to 20 years behind bars. A former FBI agent says the latest Nancy Guthrie ransom note is a sign that her kidnapper is looking for a way to avoid the death penalty if caught. The note claims Savannah Guthrie's 84-year-old mother died shortly after in February. At least one analyst believes that that's sort of a self-serving apology. In this latest note, the alleged kidnapper demanded a single Bitcoin, that's about $59,000 as of yesterday, in exchange for info helping to find the missing Guthrie, who's been missing since February 2nd when she was abducted from her Tucson home. Former NBA players Malik Beasley and Ed Davis have been indicted on federal charges tied to an alleged sports gambling and bribery scheme. Prosecutors say Beasley manipulated his on-court performance during the 2024 season based on betting trends, while Davis allegedly helped coordinate the scheme. The indictment is part of a broader federal investigation into illegal sports betting involving current and former basketball figures. And Michigan State Police are investigating after the body of a newborn was discovered inside a portable restroom in the camping area of the Electric Forest Music Festival. The remains were found Sunday morning by a sanitation worker during routine maintenance at the 4-day event near Rothbury. Authorities are asking anybody who witnessed suspicious activity or who has information about the incident to please come forward. It is 13 minutes past. When we return, as America celebrates its 250th, it's an opportunity to reflect not only on the nation's founding, but on the enduring ideals that continue to shape our republic. We'll explain. You're watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. We're back in 2. Very good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato for your Tuesday live in New Jersey and New York. Now we welcome our friends in Los Angeles and the state of Florida on LACA and on FLA. At 15 minutes past the hour, we take your calls at 888-658-0234. This is officially, I guess yesterday, if it hit 90, would be the official start of a heat wave because the next few days should be over 90 in New Jersey. So we'll see. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with a forecast near you, and it's sweltering, right? It's going to be possibly triple
Mhm.
digits in places.
It's definitely going to be triple digits in most places, and I think that's the unusual part is that the 90-degree threshold, push that aside. It's the 100-degree threshold that I think we'll hit for 3 days or more in a row. Beginning tomorrow, with all of that heat and haze building, you can see just where the worst of it is. This is the extreme heat potential that brings the worst of the heat down toward the, say, the south, across the Midwest. We tap into that today. It's tomorrow where that surges eastward and gives us dangerous levels of heat beginning tomorrow, and it only gets worse through the rest of this week when we sit in triple digit territory. Quick check of the pollen. We've seen lower amounts for trees. The season has basically ended, but still elevated for the grasses and weeds. And even with the warm weather forecast for the rest of this week, it is hot, it is dry, rain-wise, but it's still humid and stays muggy through the rest of this week. That only adds to the fuel throughout Saturday and Sunday, whereas even though the weather this weekend is sunny and warm, it is unusually hot right throughout the holiday weekend that is going through Saturday and Sunday. Likely see some cooler weather by the time we get to Monday time frame. And the big reason for that, this big high pressure that will not budge. It stays put right over the south and provides that warm southwesterly wind that allows that heat to compound each day. So we don't even cool off at night. Not only will we break temperature records through the afternoon, we'll break some overnight temperature records for heat that stick with us right throughout the first part of the weekend into next week. So some really hot weather that doesn't quite go anywhere, Ken. It's the duration of the heat wave that is something to think about even going into Sunday. We'll take another check of your forecast and talk more about this heat in just a few minutes, Ken.
All right, Mike, thank you. It's 18 minutes past the hour. We have 70 degrees in northern New Jersey, 70 in Trenton, Los Angeles now 65 at 64 in San Diego. Pardon me again. This is going to be the morning as I battle the grips of a cold, a summertime cold. We look at traffic and we have a few things going on the Garden State Parkway. Disabled reported southbound south of exit 129 in Woodbridge. All lanes are open though. On 195, crash with injuries westbound west of exit 8. Route 539 Robbinsville, all lanes there are closed. Over to the Turnpike, disabled tractor trailer. Inner roadway northbound north of interchange 12 Carteret Rawway. Right lane is blocked. Route 47 down both directions impacted south of Orange Street and Millville with all lanes closed. And the Hudson River crossings right now, the Lincoln Tunnel reporting 35 minutes in, Holland 25 to 30. There's the Holland approach. Wow, that looks like more than 25 to 30. That's Route 139 coming off of Route 78. And that is bumper to bumper. What a mess. Over to the GWB approach, the 8095 approach is already very heavy with 35 to 40 minutes reported. We take a look at the upper level on the right, lower on the left. Your lower might save you about 3 minutes getting in. Over to Los Angeles we go. We have a report of a fire now, South LA. That's at Route 47 and North Harbor Boulevard off ramp. There's a hit and run, no injuries, Central LA on the 110 at the 43rd off ramp. And there is, let's see, missing elderly person now reported in LA. It's a silver alert on Broadway. So if you see this, it's 4:19 in the morning in Los Angeles. So if you see an elderly person on their own, don't approach, don't say anything, call police, keep an eye on them until police could arrive, hopefully. So that's on Broadway in Los Angeles. It is now 19 minutes past as America celebrates the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. It is an opportunity to reflect not only on our nation's founding, but on the enduring ideals that continue to shape our democratic republic. While Americans have long debated the meaning of liberty, equality, and individual rights, those same principles have inspired generations to push the country forward. David Bobb is president and CEO of the Bill of Rights Institute, and Tony Williams is a senior fellow and historian at the Institute. We say good morning, both of you.
Good morning, Ken.
Good to have you both on. David, let's start with you. As we mark America's 250th, and that's happening, wow, in a week, within a week. Amazing how fast it crept up on us. Why is this anniversary such an important moment to revisit the Declaration of Independence?
Well, the Declaration is always relevant for Americans. It should be. It's really our vision statement. It was designed with a purpose. That purpose was to break from the crown, but even beyond that, it gave us a kind of picture of what our future could be. It also uh, established a kind of framework for what our government would be. You know, you mentioned the heat and humidity that's enveloping much of the East Coast. Our Constitutional Convention was wrapped in that kind of blanket of heat, and there's sometimes a forgetting of the relationship between the Declaration and the Constitution. In the last 50 to 60 years, we've kind of made the Declaration a dead letter. And this book is really an argument for why we want to place that centrally in all of our debates today.
Yeah, these founding fathers, they were dealing with 90-degree heat as well back then, and they had no air conditioning, and they used to dress really to the nines. It was quite a different time, and it must have been quite stinky in the rooms. I mean, literally, if they were there day and night, and they also, we don't talk about this a lot. These guys were snookered day and night. They used to drink 20 times what we drink, right? I mean, we know that historically. They were heavy drinkers. Well, we could talk about that on a whole other show. But it's interesting to see if there was no alcohol, what the Declaration would have looked like. It might have been something like, folks, we don't mean to be disrespectful, but Your Majesty, if you could be so nice, that's probably how it would have been phrased, if not. So the Declaration famously states that all men are created equal, of course. So how do you think that promise has been interpreted and expanded through the nation's history? Obviously, men being all humanity, being one of those things, right?
Right. So the Declaration lays down this universal principle of human equality, of human dignity, and equality of rights. And of course, we know that while this was an aspiration at the time, we know that it wasn't quite available for everyone. And but what we see immediately is that enslaved people in the 1770s and 1780s make a claim on that freedom. They see those principles. They say this applies to me. The women at Seneca Falls in 1848, they say all men and women are created equal. And certainly that equality principle significantly impacts the whole sectional debate over slavery during the mid 19th century. And of course, Lincoln famously gives his Gettysburg Address, where he says we're dedicated to that proposition that all men are created equal. So it
And the
resonates
beautiful
throughout American history.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. I was going to say the beautiful part is when this country was founded, it was to create a more perfect union, right? It wasn't that we didn't start as a perfect union. We said we know we have blemishes. We want to create a more perfect union. And I think a lot of people lose sight of that fact. And that even though there was slavery at that time, what did we do? We healed the ills because we created a mechanism to change that, and we fought a war in the 1860s that literally nearly dissolved our nation because that's how much we cared about the fact that there were the big chunk of our population was not treated like humans. So that's when people don't have the love of this country that they should. That's what I think they're not being taught. They don't understand that no one ever said we were born perfect, but we're doing everything we can to try to make it better.
At the nation's 150th, not the 250th, President Calvin Coolidge said of the principle that Tony just articulated, the equality principle, it's final. And there's something really profound about that, right? Because just as you said, Ken, there was in that finality a corrective mechanism built in. It said we have to do better. There is a contradiction. We are admitting the contradiction and we want to do better. It does not mean that journey towards better was a straight line. It was a crooked path. Right. But people are not perfect. And I think that the reason that we go back to our declaration and make an argument in this book for it becoming more a touchstone of our deliberation is we're a huge nation. We were 3 million then, we're 340 million now. No matter what the era, though, we're going to have an argument. Let's make that argument really great and focused on the principles that can guide us for the next 250.
Absolutely, David. And Tony, there were moments like, of course, movements like abolition and women's suffrage. We talked about civil rights. Oh, actually, we talked about the Civil War. We didn't touch on civil rights yet. But this all points back to the Declaration. So why has that remained, the Declaration, such a powerful document then for those seeking change right to the present day?
Right. Well, I think it's our creedal statement of who we are as Americans. I think it creates the American regime and its principles, and it says not only that all men are created equal, but they're endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. It creates self government by the consent of the governed, and this lays down the basis for debate and deliberation, maybe sometimes contention. But in that debate and deliberation of self government, we help to forge consensus, right? And that discussion leads us to trying to define who we are and what are our aspirations, and are we making them a reality for all? Martin Luther King, on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial during the March on Washington, called the Declaration a promissory note, right? It was not fulfilled, but he had great hope that it would be fulfilled. And so he made a claim on the Declaration. So for 250 years, it has been at the very center of not only defining who we are as Americans, but all of our discussions, all of our debates.
Yeah. And I think part of the issue today, when people see folks shouting in each other's faces from two extremes, they are off put, but likely in the rooms, those founding fathers probably had maybe pretty similar arguments. They were in each other's faces, especially after a couple of grogs. Seriously, and I don't mean to get back to that, just that it wasn't on TV and it wasn't on social media and people weren't doing this. So no one got to see it. And we had the sanitized version that came out later. Do you think that there was a lot of near fisticuffs that came about in the founding and the details of those documents?
We know the passions ran strong. And I think what was remarkable about that debate is not that it was perfect again, or that they were always exercising the self-restraint that we would want to see, but that they did pull back into the room after writing some pretty biting, scathing criticism, maybe going at it kind of one-on-one and in smaller groups. But in that room, there was a sense that let's try to get this thing done. And it was not easy. They persevered through that. And I think what we see at the Bill of Rights Institute with civic education, with engagement, is that young people need to be able to have that kind of push and pull where their opinions are on the line and they're trying to move from opinion to knowledge. And that was the goal, I think, of those who forged the Declaration. They were genuinely open to the fact that they might be wrong. And while Jefferson did not want to see his draft touched at all, he, at the end, did have to accept those edits and then move forward. And that's the kind of spirit, I think, that if we can learn from that sense of argumentation will make us better, that can really restore a sense of comity today.
Yeah. Well, give us a website for more information. I love the fact that you folks are there because America and Americans need to know more about our founding. Please give us your website.
Well, you can find the Institute, Bill of Rights Institute, at billofrightsinstitute.org, and you can find Divided Over the Declaration over on Amazon.
I love it. I love it. David Bobb, President and CEO of the Bill of Rights Institute. Tony Williams, Senior Fellow, Historian at the Institute. Thank you for keeping America alive, and thank you for coming on this morning. A very happy Independence Day. Happy 250th.
Happy 250, Ken. Thanks.
Thank you.
To you too.
Thank you. It is 29 minutes past the hour. When we come back, Congressman Tom Kean Jr. is scheduled to return to his district office today. But how will his near 4-month absence impact the campaign in New Jersey's 7th congressional district? Some Democrats want him out. Former New Jersey State Assemblyman John Wisniewski is here to talk about it. The phone lines are open too at 888-658-0234. You're watching Mornings. We're back in 2. A very good morning to you. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is now 31 minutes past the hour. It is Tuesday, June 30th, 2026. We're live on the East Coast and the West, and meteorologist Mike Favetta has both forecasts, two for the price of one. That's a deal. You know what, Mike? If you want to
Yes, we
clean up,
do.
I think you should charge separately. Don't do it as
Oh,
a group deal because
oh man.
oh, you already bundled it. That's part of the
I would have
problem.
been. I did like the triple play, right? You got the bundled with the Florida, the California, all for the price of one for New Jersey. Shucks, I'll have to
Bottom
work
line
on
here, I could save you time. Today it's going to be hotter in New Jersey than either of those places, isn't it?
it. Any of those. It's true. It's true. Have the family down vacationing in Florida, and they're like, "Wait, how hot is it going to be when we come home on Thursday?" I went, "Yeah, you're traveling to a hotter destination here in New Jersey. It's that heat
Crazy.
and humidity making it very warm. Even inland will feel the heat. So if you're traveling around for the holiday weekend, be prepared to stay warm, especially if you're away from the beaches on Friday or Saturday or Sunday, with Friday being the 4th observed. It's probably going to be one of the hotter days and one of the warmer July 4ths that we've had. So out west we go, where the temperature is a lot cooler. It's a lovely breeze coming off of the Pacific, keeping the skies nice and clear. You get that little bit of a marine layer each morning, clearing by the afternoon. Very common this time of year, and stays just comfortably warm, as is usually the case, without any big, Santa Ana winds, no pineapple expresses coming off of the Pacific. So it stays nice and dry there, and comfortably cool, going through each morning and warm each afternoon. Just some showers there up in the hills, but beyond that, we stay dry out west. Now, east, the heat continues with that very warm weather around for the next several days. It's the weather system that doesn't want to budge and just keeps pumping in the hot and humid air all across New Jersey and for much of the East Coast, that for that matter, without the threat of daily thunderstorms. There might be a quick passing pop-up shower that adds to the steamy feel, but it doesn't really cool us down, at least until we get to Monday. That's our next opportunity for some average weather, and even then, we're only back in the upper 80s and low 90s by then, so it's going to take some time. With that future cast showing the warm weather moving in, there's a round of possible thunderstorms that comes through northern New Jersey to this afternoon. Tomorrow, we're quite quiet and dry, and then we do it all over again on Thursday and Friday. Also, because the air is very stagnant, we'll see the air quality go down. So we'll not only have the poor air quality, the haze, the humidity building, the triple-digit heat with 111-degree feels-like temperatures. That extreme heat warning is no joke. Have to wait until later Saturday into Sunday to see some relief, and even then, it's not going to be a whole lot. It'll just bring us back down to average, which is in the upper 80s and low 90s. We've got another check of your forecast, talking more about the drought, Ken. That's coming up in a few minutes.
Been getting worse. Well, we'll talk about it when we come back. Here, now you just
Okay,
piqued my curiosity. Thank you. So all that rain that
you
we
bet.
did have, that barely scratched the surface, I guess. We need every drop
Mm,
we can get. Every
very
drop we
tiny
can
in
get.
comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate you very much. As always, 69 degrees northern New Jersey, 70 in Trenton. It is now 65 in Los Angeles, 66 in San Diego. In terms of traffic, we have a few things to tell you about. There's a crash on I-80 now. It is westbound, east of exit 61, River Road in Elmwood Park. The left lane of the four lanes currently closed. Crash on Route 21, southbound, north of exit 8, which is Park Avenue, Nutley. All lanes are closed. That is going to be a mess. We're trying to get your camera shot on that because Route 21 at this hour is always a mess. And to have it closed now, forget it. It's going to be backed up to Route 3. So watch out for Route 3 residual traffic. We have an issue on the eastern spur of the New Jersey Turnpike, a crash north of interchange 15X. That's by the Secaucus train station. All lanes are open. There's a vehicle on the right shoulder, but that's causing rubbernecking. And Route 47 has a down pole impacting traffic both directions. All lanes closed at Orange Street in Millville. Your Hudson River crossings right now, the Holland Tunnel is 35 to 40 minutes, bumper to bumper traffic, making your way on Route 139. You see off on the left side of your screen. That is all the way from Route 78 into the tubes, and that's just bumper to bumper, just a mess. Over to the Lincoln Tunnel, the 495 approach, not that much better. It's 35 to 40 minutes, and that is just due to morning volume, the sun in everybody's eyes, as I like to say, at that hour of the day. And then the approach to the GWB is 40 minutes already. The upper level is going to save you about 3 minutes. You can see it on the right side versus the lower on the left. A lot of traffic. Just pack your patience. Over to Los Angeles, we have an incident here, a traffic collision in Baldwin Park on Route 57 at Route 71. There's a report of a fire now in South LA. That's on Route 47 by North Harbor Boulevard off ramp. And there's a hit and run, no injuries reported, though, Central LA on the 110 at the 43rd Avenue off ramp. In terms of, let's see, what did we just get? We just got a new issue here, congestion back to the Northeast. Now Route 17, there are delays northbound near I-80 in Lodi. All lanes are open. Route 4 has delays eastbound from west of River Road to Queen Anne Road in Teaneck. All lanes are open. So it is a tough travel day. Give yourselves lots of extra travel time, please. It is 37 minutes past the hour. After months of questions from constituents and political observers, Republican Congressman Tom Kean Jr. is scheduled to return to his district office today after a near 4-month absence. The move has sparked discussion about accountability, and joining us this morning is a Democrat, former New Jersey Assemblyman John Wisniewski, to discuss what that means for New Jersey's 7th Congressional District. Good morning to you, John.
Good morning, Ken. How are you?
It's great to have you on. I'm doing well, thank you. To see, though, somebody who was elected by the people, and he may have a reason, but we haven't heard it yet, somebody elected by the people to do a job and is being paid to do a job and just goes AWOL for 4 months. There are a lot of constituents on both sides of the aisle, by the way, who are quite upset and believe that they are entitled, and likely so, to getting some kind of an explanation. So why would you say Kean's absence drew so much attention? Is it because of that?
Well, I think it draws attention for two reasons. One, look, he's gone without explanation for 3 months. Under any circumstance, an elected leader being gone, not casting votes, not communicating for that period of time just naturally raises questions, Democrat, Republican. But I think in this particular case, you're looking at a congressional district that is viewed nationally as one of the key pickup districts for Democrats in order to take back control of the House of Representatives. And so when you have a Republican member absent in a competitive district in which you have a really well-positioned Democratic challenger, it certainly just amplifies that speculation. Nobody knows what the issue is. Nobody knows why. I recall when John Fetterman left the U.S. Senate for several months to undergo mental health treatment. There was a lot of calls to give him space. There was also calls on the other side for him to step down. And the same thing is true here. But in the dynamic of a critical national midterm election, this does not bode well for Republican chances to hold the House of Representatives. And that's why there's this amplified speculation.
Yeah, in the case of Fetterman, we at least heard. We got some reports. We knew the man had a stroke. We knew the man was feeling, going through issues. We knew that in the beginning he was not able to read. He had to, when he wanted to speak, he had to basically write out what he wanted to say and read it back. He was able to read. He just couldn't think extemporaneously. And everybody said, "Come on, how could you?" I remember people on the right screaming, "Come on, how did you possibly let this guy say?" Now the Republicans hold him up as, St. John Fetterman the first. He is like the greatest thing since sliced bread that the Republicans ever saw. And I bet a lot of the Democrats wish that they would have heeded the advice of the Republicans back in the time.
Well, there's the old political saying, Ken, is that that was then, this is now.
Right. What have you done for me lately?
Right.
John, when you were an assemblyman, how important was it to be present in your district office for people to be able to reach out?
Well, I always argued that the most important thing that I could do as a member of the General Assembly was to service my constituents. People in my district, the 19th district, some 250,000 people, had a variety of concerns, issues that they always brought to my legislative office. They bring it to not just my district, but every district. And they look for their representative to lend an ear, show up at events. And the list is endless. Literally, I mean, I can only imagine the size of a congressional district. I was literally out 7 nights a week, either at events or at meetings. And when that stops, it's noticeable. And so for Congressman Keene, he's going to have to explain what happened and what the future holds for him. I mean, there's still going to be, regardless of what he says today or tomorrow, there's going to be the speculation about what comes next.
Right. And I think, and we've had this discussion before, people are entitled. There are lots of people we could vote for. We're entitled to know why this person was absent when they should have been casting votes. One way or the other, they should have been casting votes. And that's, I think people are entitled to an explanation. You don't have to get into your personal medical, but if it was a serious medical issue, we need to know kind of the genre of the medical issue. Because if it was, I hurt my foot, that doesn't cut it. We need to know. And whoever is going to be debating him is going to know that.
Yeah, I think in this particular case, it's the deafening silence over the period of time has really stoked the speculation, has added fuel to the fire. If, the congressman's advisors were sitting around a table and they were looking at the landscape now, I'm sure they would have said way back when this started, you need to say something. You need to explain this absence really soon. Otherwise, people will be left to their own speculation. And we've seen this, in politics time and time again. In the absence of clarity, speculation runs amok.
Absolutely. And you know what? That's the way we are in America. And maybe that's a very good thing. Right? So we appreciate you as always. Go ahead.
No, it has its pluses and minuses, right? I mean, look, if he was just a guy working at IBM, everybody would say, well, give the guy his privacy. But the issue is he chose, like I chose, to be in public service. And that gives a different level of scrutiny to your health because people expect you to be available.
100%. Hey, when I was a news anchor at Channel 7, I had to have my freaking left kidney removed. And we announced it on the air, John. And literally, you had to see the newspaper gossip. Is he really gone to have his kidney removed? I was posting pictures of myself from the hospital bed with an IV in my arm. I'm like, yeah, I was almost going to post a picture of the scar. And I said, nah, it's pushing it too far. But that's, what do they think? I was undergoing a sex change? But yeah, I was supposed to be gone 10 weeks. I came back after 3 because I was tired of it. I literally had to be wheeled into the news anchor seat because I couldn't walk. But that's the craziness. People can get a little obsessive with it. But in this case, yes, I think they are entitled to know. And they should have known from 2.5 months ago what the heck was going on. We love when you come on all the time. New Jersey's most powerful attorney. I've given you the new title.
I appreciate that.
Powerful attorney. There you go. And rightfully so. Former New Jersey Assemblyman John Wisniewski, thank you for coming on, as always, with your great insight. We appreciate you, John.
Thanks a lot.
You bet. It is 45 minutes past the hour. When we come back, meteorologist Mike Favetta talking about a heat wave. We're going to have triple digits in the Northeast. Pretty nice, though, in the Southwest. You're watching Mornings. We're back in 2. back to Mornings with Ken Rosato, 47 minutes past the hour, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Think back to 1962. We're having a heat wave, a tropical heat wave. Mike, I know you could remember back to 1962. No, you can't.
Like it was
Meteorologist
yesterday.
Mike Favetta. Like it was yesterday. I can't even remember 62. I was born in 67. But nonetheless, this 3 days officially defines. You have to have 3 days of 90 or above,
Yeah.
right, to officially define a heat wave. And we will break that with ease.
Yes, in the New York area, I might mention, because I get a lot of people saying, well, it's always that hot down in Arizona. Yeah, well, they have a
Right.
different definition of a heat wave. So here in the area, there's plenty of heat to go around, so much so that it extends even through the next 2 weeks in July, above average temperatures. So if our average is the upper 80s for this time of year, getting into the low 90s, certainly possible even for the next few weeks. And there likely will be another long stretch of hot weather that takes us down even into Florida. That will be unusually warm right through the middle of the month. Even with the slightly above average rainfall that we've seen and continues for the first 2 weeks of July, it hasn't done much to quell the drought. That drought is still persistent across most of the state, even with that severe drought extending through most of central and southern New Jersey and going right down the East Coast. Florida has seen an improvement, which is nice. And even out west, slightly abnormally dry for most of northern California and areas east of the valley. But beyond that, it's nice to not see drought conditions out in California for a change. This time, we deal with the heat and the hot and the dry weather going forward. So it's going to be a really long summer, Ken, if this heat keeps up, as it's forecast to, for at least the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Well, there you go. It is
Yeah.
officially summertime. So since Father's Day, I love when that coincides. Thank you so much, Mike. We
Nice.
appreciate you, sir. It is 49 minutes past the hour. Checking traffic right now. Route 80. We have a crash on 80 westbound east of exit 61, which is River Road in Elmwood Park. This is a look from Route 20 in Patterson, which is one exit away. And look, you can see where it is right there. So apparently they misrepresented it as exit 61, but it's one exit before, and that's you can see where that is. Eagle Eyes Pam herself, our director, found that, but that's causing a backup of about a mile and a half to 2 miles. Over to Route 1, we have a debris spill southbound Ridge Road in South Brunswick, right lane and right shoulder closed. Route 21, absolute mess. Avoid it. Southbound north of exit 8, there's a crash. That's by Nutley. All lanes are closed on Route 21. Avoid it like the plague. New Jersey Turnpike Eastern Spur, we have a crash reported north of interchange 15X by the train station. All lanes are open, vehicles on the right shoulder, but there are residual delays. Route 47, we have a down pole, both directions impacted south of Orange Street, Millville, with all lanes closed. The Hudson River crossings, Lincoln and Holland, are both reporting 35 minutes right now. You could look at the approach to the Holland Tunnel. This is 139, pardon me, coming from Route 78, and you can see the traffic on the left side there going into the tube absolutely stopped. The traffic on the right that's moving is going to the local lanes in Jersey City. That's why there's movement there, but the folks trying to get in the tube are stopped. Same thing at the Lincoln. That's pretty much bumper to bumper going in for about a mile and a half. So that is a 40-minute delay into the Lincoln. GWB upper and lower levels, 45 minutes solid right now. Upper level on the right, lower level on the left. Over to Los Angeles, we have a report of a fire in South LA at 47 North Harbor Boulevard off ramp. And there is a missing elderly person now, and that is in LA on Broadway. No other incidents to report. Of course, it's only 4:51 in the morning there. Local news plays a vital role in keeping communities informed, but many New Jersey news organizations say that their future is at risk. The New Jersey Civic Information Consortium is a nonprofit that was created to strengthen local journalism across the state. Jerome Montes is communications director for New Jersey Citizen Action and is a board member of the New Jersey Civic Information Consortium. Good morning, Jerome.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Nice to have you on. As a fellow journalist, it is nice to have you on, especially to keep journalism alive in the state. Talk about the history of the consortium and why it was initially created. What prompted it?
Well, it's really the news deserts that are plaguing New Jersey that prompted it. We're a one-of-a-kind initiative. And the idea is that, with the continuing loss of outlets like the Jersey Journal, the Star Ledger, local news is disappearing throughout New Jersey. About 65% of people surveyed in an Eagleton poll noted that they really need more local news in their communities. People need to know what's going on in their townships. They need people. They need journalists attending local council meetings. They need journalists attending Board of Education meetings. Without these, they can't make smart, informed decisions about what's happening in their towns and even about their personal finances. So the consortium supports and invests in and hopefully helps regenerate local news and independent media throughout the state.
Jerome, for a lot of years, people were saying, well, why do we really need that? Because, our community cable channel 237 covers the board meetings and whatnot. And then I used to turn it on them and say, and how often do you watch community cable channel 237? How often do you watch the town councilman who appeared drunk at the meeting? And I'm just throwing this out there, of course, who appeared drunk at the meeting and was making comments like, you don't need that traffic light on Main Street. Did you catch that? No, oh, you didn't. That's why you need people to hold them accountable. I mean, it is literally the fourth estate written into the freedom of the press in the Constitution. There's a reason why the founding fathers thought it was essential that there be a free press, and that is to keep the elected officials on their toes. But in secret, what is the New York Times or is it the Washington Post? The in darkness, democracy dies, and that's the whole idea. We will lose our democracy if you do not have an active media. And New Jersey, you just see it going right down.
I lost you. Yeah. Yeah. So, Ken, you're absolutely correct. So, my parents, who are my neighbors in Lawrence Township, essentially, they ask me, where can I go to find out who to vote for, to find out about local businesses, to find out about local ordinances. They're trying to determine where to go, and they can't rely on TikTok or Instagram. They shouldn't have to. Social media feeds into our our preferences, our biases, our fears. We really need well-trained journalists to take a look at local issues, to take a look at issues that impact our democracy, that impact our economy, in a way that ensures that people can get the information they need to make informed decisions.
So now the New Jersey state budget was just passed, or it was accepted. There's a framework
Yes.
accepted. It's in the middle of going through all the final stages right now. In that was the funding was cut, right, for this. So what happens if that funding isn't restored in the state's final budget?
Well, we are very grateful to our legislative champions like Majority Leader Lou Greenwald and Senator Vin Gopal for ensuring that we do have funding, actually. So we do have $1 million of funding. And we also are grateful to, again, Majority Leader Greenwald and Senator Andrew Swicker for ensuring that for exploring different sources of funding, different ways to stabilize the funding for the consortium. So really, we're at a critical juncture, right? Again, per capita, New Jersey is second to the last in terms of journalists per capita, right? As I said, we have seen a lot of local media and legacy media disappear. So people don't know where they're getting their news, and we're really at a critical inflection point. We've managed to rebuild some local journalism, and we've managed to, we've had a lot of success with outlets that include things like the Morristown Green, the Trenton Journal, New Jersey Urban News. These outlets are doing great work to ensure that their communities are informed about critical issues that are local to them. But we really are at a critical point where this conversation needs to continue, this work needs to continue, and we need to ensure that these news deserts are no longer proliferate, right? That we're able to continue the great work. So we hope that the legislature can continue to be supportive, and that we can continue to find stable funding for our organization.
Jerome, what's a website for more information?
So that would be njcivicinfo.org. If you go to njcivicinfo.org, you'll find out about what we do, who we're funding, find out more about why our mission is so important. That's where I would go.
And again, in darkness, the death of democracy. Here, I'm rewording it a little bit, but you need a free press and you need a press. If it's not
Yes,
there,
we do.
forget it. This is you. If you want to see tyranny, go ahead and just get rid of all media. Go ahead and do it and see what happens. And the problem is you don't get it back at that point. Once you lose it, it's done. Jerome Montes, a communications director for New Jersey Citizen Action, board member of the New Jersey Civic Information Consortium. Very, very important thing you're doing. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. Thank you. It is 58 minutes past the hour. For those of you watching on LACA on the West Coast, stay tuned for your local news. If you're watching on New Jersey, we will be right back live with New Jersey news, opinion, weather, and traffic, and talking about our upcoming and we're currently in it, heat wave. Thanks for watching Mornings. Back in 2. Very good morning. It's 8:01 Tuesday, June 30th, 2026. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato taking calls at 888-658-0234. Partly cloudy, very hot today. Highs about 90, probably feel a lot hotter than that with the humidity. And this is just the early stages of what looks to be a stretch of sweltering hot weather. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast. Good morning to you, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. That's the thing. It's not even all that bad today. And yet you kind of already need to start taking precautions because of that heat index that approaches 97 degrees today, but is well over 100 by tomorrow. So that's why the extreme heat warning is right through. I know this says Wednesday. It's actually Saturday, with all of that hot weather extending right down toward the coast due to that southwesterly wind pushing in a lot of that warm air and making it feel very uncomfortable, even dangerous at times. So we start off this morning warm, but it's not quite uncomfortable. It's rather nice, especially with those temperatures that are running anywhere from 2 to 5 degrees warmer than they were yesterday at this hour. The humidity starting to rise when we climb through the 60s. That's humid. When we get into the 70s, that's where it's like really tropical, and we'll be there by this time tomorrow, especially into Wednesday, Thursday, as well as Friday. There's going to be a lot of sun beaming down on us, making for some uncomfortable conditions. Also, might even give us a passing afternoon thunderstorm. You see one kind of race through here, through the northeastern corner of the state today and tomorrow as thermometers reach 100 degrees, but the feels like temperature is well over 105. Unusually hot even as the air temperature reaches 104 on Thursday, 105 on Friday, and that's without the humidity. When you add in the humidity, it's well over 111. So some really extreme heat that'll last at least until Saturday. I think we see the peak on Friday, whereas the temperatures begin to come down this weekend. But to see these numbers on a forecast panel like that, 104 on Thursday, 101 on Friday, very unusual, and will likely set some temperature records here. Best chance of doing that is on Thursday, Ken, the hottest day of our multi-day stretch of 90+ degree heat. We'll talk more about it coming up in a few minutes.
Wow, I'm already hot. I'm fanning myself. You just can't see it. That's crazy. That's an
Yep.
amazing amount of heat. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Yep.
And by the way, before I let you go,
hmm
maybe here I'll set you up for the next hit or two.
Okay.
There has been, we talked about the big earthquake, of course, that happened
hmm
in South America in Venezuela. But obviously, earthquakes do not happen in absentia of other earthquakes because of the different plates, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm reading that there have been all sorts of quakes. Maybe this is for tomorrow, but off the coast of Oregon in the water, off the coast of Southern
Mm,
California, and these are like fives and sixes, but because they're in
yeah.
the ocean and but these are enormous underwater earthquakes. And of
Right.
course, they're keeping an eye just in case of tsunami. None of that has happened, thank God. But that's something I'm sure everybody who's in the know of earthquakes is keeping an eye on because when you get a massive 7.2, 7.5 with a follow up of a 4.2 and 4.5,
Sure.
the rest of the plates are all kind of saying, "Oh, they moved. We're going to move too." So anyway, we'll keep an eye on it. I'll keep an eye too. I'll be your assistant, your eagle eye assistant, telling you
Thank you,
about
sir.
the movement of the earth. That usually happens, by the way, after I have a couple of meals of Taco Bell, but that's a whole other show.
Oh,
Yeah, that's for Friday's show, which we don't actually have. So, all right, Mike, thank you very much. We'll check back. Mike's like, I'm not touching it, not with a 10-foot pole. All right, love Mike. It is 69 degrees northern New Jersey, 73 in Trenton. Right now, it is 68 degrees in Cape May and 70 degrees in Vineland. In terms of traffic, we got a lot of stuff happening right now. There is a Route 1 issue. I'm sorry, this is 21. 21, we're doing first. There is a crash on southbound Route 21, just north of Exit 8, Park Ave in Nutley. Look at this mess. All lanes are closed, so these folks have nowhere to go. They're going to try to get them off somewhere, get them on a shoulder, whatever. But right now, Route 21, it's southbound north of Exit 8, Park Avenue in Nutley, all lanes are closed. It's normally heavy, but today now with this, forget about it. Just an absolute mess. Over to Route 1 now. There's a debris spill southbound Ridge Road in South Brunswick, right lane and right shoulder closed there. Crash on the Outer Bridge crossing westbound Midspan and Perth Amboy, right lane block. So that's coming from New York into New Jersey. We have a New Jersey Turnpike issue on the eastern spur. There's a crash northbound, north of interchange 15X, Secaucus train station. All lanes are open, vehicles on the right shoulder, causing some rubbernecking. And then over on Route 47, we have a down pole, both directions impacted south of Orange Street in Millville. All lanes are currently closed there. Some congestion issues around the area. Right now, 1 and 9 truck route, there are delays northbound from Tunnelly Circle and to Manhattan Avenue, Jersey City. All lanes are open, just very heavy. Excuse my cough. I'm battling the onslaught of a cold. And then the Hudson River crossings, the Holland Tunnel approach, Route 78 to Route 139. This is 139, making your way to the Holland Tunnel. It's just bumper to bumper. It's an absolute mess. Look at this, stopped all the way across there. The lane that you see movement in, that is going to local roads. That is not the going to the tube. So everything there is just bumper to bumper. The Lincoln Tunnel approach, by the way, that's 45 minutes into the Holland. It's 40 minutes at the Lincoln. GWB upper and lower level is going to cost you a solid 45 as well, but at least there's a little bit of movement. Upper level is on the right, lower is on the left. Upper will save you about 2 to 3 minutes. It is 8:07. New Jersey Congressman Thomas Kean Jr. announced that he would be returning to work today. Kean has been AWOL for nearly 4 months, missing many important House votes in the process, leaving many to speculate where he's been. Word was the Republican representing New Jersey's 7th congressional district was dealing with health-related issues, but there were no details beyond that. He's expected to hit the campaign trail with a fundraiser tonight for a seat that Democrats are hoping to flip this fall. And if they are, there are going to be a lot of people who are going to have to answer. Why did the Republican Party cover for him or keep it quiet and not demand more? Why was he allowed to be absent? Why wasn't he allowed to campaign? I think there are some serious issues if they lose that seat. Hopefully, for the Republicans' sake, they won't. But if they do, they deserve to. And that's what happens when you don't speak, when you don't communicate. It is 8:08, and New Jersey lawmakers advanced a record $60.7 billion state budget Sunday night. Separate legislation raises total planned spending above $61 billion. The budget increased school funding while maintaining full pension payments. Lawmakers also approved tax changes expected to generate hundreds of millions annually, so the taxes are going up. Republicans criticized the rushed process while Democrats defended months of public budget hearings. Bottom line, do you show up to complain? Or if you do show up, do you get to speak at those hearings? No. And they're going to raise the taxes whether you beg them not to or not. New Jersey Transit riders, get ready to dig deeper again. No, it's not because your service is improving or you're getting better or more trains or better parking at stations. Nope, it's because the agency cannot fiscally manage itself. The annual automatic 3% fare increase, see, they do it automatically so they don't have to beg for money. So they jammed it in a couple of years ago so that automatically they get a fare increase of 3% every year, whether they need it or not. Think about that. If inflation is 2%, they get a 3% fare hike. Isn't that cute the way that works? So these hikes were approved back in 2024, and they don't say when they're going to end. For the foreseeable future, every year it's a 3% hike, 3% hike. Officials say the price hike is meant to ensure that service doesn't get cut. Sounds a little like extortion to me. Hey, your service cut. You better give us the 3% hike there. You know what I'm talking about? Very New Jersey. No word on if or when that annual fare hike will ever end. Ever. Some frightening moments for a JetBlue flight as it was landing at JFK while descending through 3,000 feet, 7:15 yesterday morning. The pilot struck a drone. Luckily, it wasn't worse. What happened? There was no damage to the plane. The unauthorized craft, not supposed to be flying drones near airports or in the approaches. The drone hit the craft above the jet's cockpit while the plane was making its final approach. This happened just days after a United Airlines jet narrowly avoided colliding with a drone while landing at Newark. At least 2 other recent flights into Newark spotted drones that were dangerously close but did not impact the planes. Hey, listen, you nerdy, freaking, radical, stupid geeks living in mommy's basement and playing with your little toy drones. Knock it off. It isn't a game. You could kill hundreds of people, if not thousands, if the plane crashes on the ground. So take your little toy drone, go to a park 20 miles from the nearest airport and stop doing this. If you are caught, you will get a federal sentence, period. But this is not kids. This is, here, we'll give you the MO. Guys in their late 20s living in mommy's basement with their little toy drone who think this is cool and funny. Knock it off. The FAA, by the way, gets more than 100 drone sighting reports near airports every month. It is 8:08 or 8:11 right now, I should say. Austin Shelf is a popular mobile bookstore traveling through New Jersey. Owner Charity Herndon recently opened a permanent location in Bordentown. Great town, Bordentown. The bookstore offers curated selections and hosts community literary events. Herndon hopes to expand book access while creating welcome spaces for readers. American Tower withdrew plans for a proposed data center in East Greenwich Township. You know what? I always forget. It's Greenwich, Connecticut. I know Greenwich, New Jersey is toward the south, and I'm not aware. Is it Greenwich or Greenwich? Somebody inform me, please, because I don't know. The project, strong opposition. Do you know Pam? You're in New Jersey. Yeah, we got to check to see. We don't want any disrespect toward Greenwich. I'll just spell it out. Local officials also approved a ban on future data center development. The proposed facility would have occupied land surrounding an existing cell tower. American Tower continues pursuing similar edge data centers across the U.S. Kylie Jean Wright was crowned Miss New Jersey in 2026 in Ocean City. She is a karate instructor, college student, beautiful lady. She is also a Boardwalk Pizza employee. Wright has participated in the Miss America organization since childhood. Her community service promotes women's self-defense through TAKE Defense Foundation. That's Take Defense Foundation. She will represent New Jersey at this year's Miss America competition. And as we talked about this with Mike, New Jersey entering a dangerous stretch of extreme heat this week, and with 4th of July coming up in a few days, remember to keep you and your loved ones safe. Some tips to stay cool in the heat. Stay indoors, of course, in air conditioning whenever possible. We don't have to tell you that. Drink plenty of water, even if you're not thirsty, because you don't realize how much you're evaporating through sweat and breathing. Okay. By the way, the worst time to go out is between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. So if you could avoid doing any errands during that time, that's when you're best indoors. Don't do any strenuous outdoors activity this week. Just wait a few days till it gets cooler. Take frequent breaks in shaded or cool areas. Check on elderly neighbors, children, and pets. Never leave anyone or a pet in a parked car in the sun. You will kill that person or pet in a matter of a minute or two. That's how fast the temperature can go from 80 degrees in a parked car, even with the windows cracked. It can get up to 120 degrees in about 2 minutes. You can kill any living thing in that car, so don't do it. The only cars that can do it are the electric cars that have the pet feature, because they will run the air conditioner. Other than those, do not ever do that, please. Even for a minute, don't do it. It is 8:14. When we come back, the FIFA World Cup has brought the world's best athletes to the region, and behind the scenes, an expert medical team is helping keep them healthy and safe. We will explain. You're watching Mornings. We're back in 2. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:16, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Partly cloudy, hot today. Excuse me as I tap our social media here. It's going to be a high of about 90, and this is just the early part of a stretch of sweltering hot weather. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast. Good morning, sir.
Yes, the first day of some very, very hot weather indeed. The excessive heat warning we've been telling you about extends right through the remainder of this week, with temperatures today reaching the 90s but feeling so much warmer. High temperatures will feel like the mid to upper 90s as the beaches climb to about 90 degrees, but it's that warm southwesterly breeze combined with the humidity that builds into tomorrow and really peaks by Thursday. You see, when these dew points or the temperatures where the air is saturated reach the 70s, that's where it starts to feel tropical. And it stays that way right through Friday, not seeing relief until we get to Sunday time frame. So tomorrow afternoon, this is our feels like temperature 105 straight down the turnpike. Thursday feels like 108. Friday, just about the same 107, 108 degrees, some very, very hot weather. And then by Saturday, we start to see a little bit of relief, but it basically comes in stages throughout the weekend. So a look of the UV index, we're back up at an 8 today, which is very high. With the UV this high, that tends to create the poor air quality, especially with the stagnant air, as there's not much air moving around from place to place. So as far as the temperature goes, that just keeps rising. And interestingly enough, overnight lows only back down into the mid 80s. So we don't even get a chance to cool off at night. And that's the concern for those without air conditioning, whereas your body doesn't get a chance to cool off at night, so it compounds the effect with the duration of this heat, again, making it feel much hotter than the forecast, 104, 105, by the time we get to Friday and Saturday, the peak of the heat. Going in through the next few days, you can see the futurecast keeping a lot of the rain out of the picture until we get to Saturday afternoon. That could be a passing storm with a cold front. It'll be a few more days until we have clarity on when that comes through, but even into next week, get a little bit of a break from all of this excessive heat as the weekend forecast looks hot. 99 on Saturday, 94 on Sunday, with some passing showers on Saturday. We'll take another check of your forecast, Ken, coming up in a few minutes with the 7-day.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Very, very hot. 73 degrees right now in northern New Jersey. It's 73 in Trenton. It's 69 in Cape May. That's nice and cool. That's a pretty, oh my gosh. If you've never been to Cape May, go do yourself a favor. New Jersey has some beautiful communities, especially the shore communities. Cape May is just lovely. And Vineland right now talking about 70, 74 already. Wow, it's getting hot inland. In terms of traffic, we have a lot of that. That's getting hot too. Let's go to US 1. We have a debris spill southbound Ridge Road in South Brunswick. Right lane and right shoulder currently closed there. Route 47 has a down pole impacting both directions south of Orange Street and Millville with all lanes closed. We have an issue right now. Let's go over to the Jersey Turnpike. This is in the western spur of interchange 15W. You'll see a truck that's broken down in the right shoulder. Do we have that? There it is. Not causing any real delays, obviously, not at all, as you can see. But they just reported it. You never know. That could cause a buildup in time. Hopefully, nothing. That's not a big deal. And that's good news. Maybe it's a big deal for the truck driver. That's about it. And then over to the Hudson River crossings. Lincoln and Holland, both a mess. Look at the Holland Tunnel. This is from Route 78 on Route 139 into the tube. You'll see this is bumper to bumper, and this is going to cost you, if we have the Holland, sometimes I don't have the camera up, that is going to cost you 45 solid minutes into Manhattan. You can see the traffic that is moving on the right toward the right. They are going to local roads. They're not going into the tube. So it's the ones going into Manhattan that are not moving. That just stopped. Lincoln Tunnel approach is going to cost you 40, and the GWB upper and lower level is 40 to 45 right now. A little bit better on the upper level on the right than the left, they're saying. I don't know why, because either one looks like it's not really moving. But that's going to cost you a solid 45 to 60 now into Manhattan. It is 8:20. The FIFA World Cup has brought the world's best athletes to the New York, New Jersey region. And behind the scenes, an expert medical team is helping keep them all healthy and safe. One of the leaders of that effort is Dr. Riley J. Williams III, chief of the Sports Medicine Institute at the Hospital for Special Surgery, who is serving as FIFA's venue medical officer for this year's tournament. And he joins us this morning to discuss what it takes to provide world-class medical care on one of sports' biggest stages. Good morning, doctor. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me. How are we doing today?
I'm wonderful, sir. Thank you. So your team, you and your team, you're involved in really making sure that thousands of people are healthy. That's quite a daunting task. What is that like? I mean, are you getting bombarded right now with people to make sure they're all okay?
Well, this has been a 2-year process. Although it was just recently announced that I was the venue medical officer, the training and the preparation has been going on for about the past 2.5 years. So you're right. There's the players, there are the envoys that come with the players, the teams, and then all of the FIFA related officials who come into the New York area. So there are 16 sites, so there are 16 venue medical officers, but there's a little bit more responsibility with New York, New Jersey, because we are, as everyone knows, the host site for the final big game on July 19th.
Right. And not for anything, and not to toot our own horn, but when people think America from a lot of places, a lot of other places in the world, they'll think a few places. They'll think New York, New Jersey. Well, they'll think New York, and we are, by extension, we are part of New York, obviously. They'll think Washington, D.C. They'll think maybe Los Angeles. That's America to most of the world. So
Correct.
New York is the first thing they think of. So clearly, this is the epicenter for that. Have you been getting a lot of folks with what strains and bumps and bruises and whatnot?
Well, if you think about the structure, starting with the players are kind of summoned to participate from their professional teams that become part of their national teams. So a lot of times there's a rejiggering, reassessment, if you will, of player fitness and readiness. So inevitably, throughout the course of a 5-week tournament, there are going to be injuries that need to be managed. So, MRIs, treatments, medical support, things like that will do for the teams as they are in market and as they travel in and out of the region just to play games around the country, Mexico and Canada. With regards to the FIFA workforce, there's a medical line, and although we're not involved with everything, I am called upon, along with my team. I have a great support team to provide access for these people who are oftentimes foreign nationals who don't really understand the health system here. But yeah, I mean, it's not overwhelming, but it's definitely vigorous. It's a 24/7 job from my point of view, and I'm lucky that Hospital for Special Surgery has been very supportive of my role and provided me a good team to work with.
Good deal. Yeah, and so when you think about it, you come to another country, you don't want to have to A, find a doctor, and B, especially when it's somewhat of an emergency, if you got injured in a game, and B, figure out how, is there insurance? What are we doing? How do we pay for this? So it's nice that
Exactly.
this has been coordinated.
Yes.
And Dr. Williams, and I smiled because when I saw that I had Dr. Williams on, my urologist is Dr. Williams here in Northern New Jersey. You may know him, the other Dr. Williams in Northern New Jersey. Um, do you have like a description of what your day to day is? Are you still handling your regular patients that you would have at HSS on top of this, or did you have to set aside this time for FIFA?
Right. Well, as you mentioned at the outset, I'm an orthopedic surgeon. I'm the not chairman, sorry, chief of the sports service here at Hospital for Special Surgery. Primarily, I do kind of knee, shoulder stuff, take care of a few teams in the area. I've had to modify my clinical schedule to be available, quite frankly, from more of an administrative process. So I haven't had to completely shut down my clinical activities, but I'm based here in New York. I mean, it's a 5 in the morning till midnight, and sometimes even in the early morning hours, need for me to attend to things as they arise. As you know, medical things can happen anytime, and it's not confined to business hours. So, basically, I'm running a modified schedule. But again, like I said, I have a great team of support. It's not just me. Fortunately, the hospital sort of appreciated the gravity of the job and provided me with those resources.
As I smile forward with my neck fusion as I look at you right here, one of your doctors was the one who, by the way, recommended it from HSS. So
Okay, there we
I say
go.
thank you to HSS. A little heads up there to you. You guys have been the FIFA Medical Center, if you will, of excellence for more than a decade, obviously, because
Right.
it's HSS. It makes a lot of sense to be that. What does that designation mean, and how has it prepared your team for an event like this? Because this isn't the first time around the block for you folks doing this.
Correct. Yeah, we were appointed FIFA Medical Center of Excellence back in 2014. There are, I believe, about 100 of them worldwide. In the states, there are only three, and I believe we're one. Duke University is one, and then there's a group out in Southern California who is focused on soccer care. So it is a privilege. You have to have demonstrated some affinity, expertise in the area of soccer medicine. And I would just remind the viewers that, soccer medicine is more than just knee and ankle. It's concussion, it's hydration, it's nutrition, I mean, there's a lot that goes into the maintenance of these finely tuned athletes. So, we have an amalgam of physicians here from the imaging side, from the nutrition side, rehab, et cetera, and have demonstrated a programmatic approach, not only in the treatment of injuries, but also in injury prevention. As you know, Ken, like soccer is in Northern Jersey is big. Like it's probably one of the big
Yes.
hotbeds, big feeders to a lot of big programs, colleges around the country. So we felt it important to take that on. I've been involved with the New York Red Bulls since 2005, so that was really the basis of our focus there. And then over that decade, that first decade of team care, we just sort of developed these programs, and that was, thankfully acknowledged by FIFA in 2014, as I mentioned.
I love it. I love it. You do Red Bulls, Brooklyn Nets, New York Liberty. So you all know sports medicine like nobody's business. And we appreciate it because it's your business. It's no one else's business but yours. We appreciate it. And doctor, what's a website for HSS for folks to get in touch?
HSS.edu is very simple. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Dr. Riley J. Williams III, Chief of the Sports Medicine Institute at Hospital for Special Surgery, one of the best darn places in the whole world. He is serving as FIFA's venue medical officer for this year's tournament, has his hands full. Thank you so much for coming on this morning. Here, may your next few weeks be uneventful. Let's put it that way. And let's hope it just goes nice and smooth.
Yeah, we've gotten through 5 of the games. We have 3 more, but again, the world will be converging on New York, so it's an exciting time to be here.
Absolutely. Dr. Williams, thank you again, sir. Have a great day.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. You bet. Love that. All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to be talking about something special in New Jersey, a place that is blending old-fashioned chocolate making with over-the-top desserts. We will introduce you to the Milkshake Factory. I just got a little twinge up and down my back thinking about it. Plus, we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching Mornings. We're back in 2 minutes. Good morning, Tuesday, June 30th, 2026. We have a temp of 73 degrees already in northern New Jersey and in Trenton. It is, again, Tuesday, June 30th, the end of the month. Tomorrow, July 1st already. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. If you like heat, well, today's your day. Tomorrow's even more your day. Highs into the 90s and then hotter than that tomorrow. Just day 1, 2, whatever of a heat stretch. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will tell you all about it. Good morning, sir. What did we hit hit yesterday? Did we hit 90?
It depends on the location. I'll look them up because I think
Yeah,
we
I looked
were
at Newark. I
close.
think it said it did. I think it said it did on Newark. So that's Newark is the site, right? Newark Airport.
Newark is the site. You could also look at Trenton for South Jersey, Atlantic City for the beaches. So there's, many different sites that keep the climate records, Ken, across New Jersey. And New Jersey's a big place. So, places in Bergen County are going to have very different weather than places down in Cape May, for instance. And that's why there's no excessive heat warning for places down south of Atlantic City, because you get a little bit of a breeze there off of Delaware Bay for the time being. But that's not the case all week. For the rest of the state, that shade of purple in place for the extreme heat warning feels like temperatures 105 degrees plus, lasting through the end of the day on Saturday. So a lot of hot weather on the way that takes us through into the end of the week. As far as the temperature right now, it's quite cool south of Atlantic City comparatively. We'll only make it into the mid 80s today. So a lovely breeze setting up there out of the south, making for a pretty decent feel. As far as the pollen, we finished with the tree pollen. That season is over, back down to low. Grasses and weeds are the predominant pollen going forward for the rest of the season. And with the last time it was this warm back in 2021, reached 103, I think we'll easily get to 103 across Newark by as soon as probably Thursday when we see the heat peak. Water temperatures are cool, relatively speaking, holding in the low and mid 70s. So beaches are a place to cool off. And there's a small chance of severe weather tomorrow afternoon there in the northwestern corner of the state as the chance of rain comes in. But rain chances are low, really, until we get to the weekend. Even only a 40% chance on Saturday. That's the highest over the next week for the potential of some storms, with a cooling front that provides the end of our heat wave later Saturday afternoon. So it stays very warm until then, all throughout the day tomorrow, including Thursday and all day Friday. A lot of sunshine, a lot of heat, a lot of stagnant air leading to poorer air quality. And then by Saturday, you see the front start to slide through, likely bringing in some scattered thunderstorms. But until that time, the temperature will be well above average. 99 tomorrow, 104 on Thursday, still above 100 on Friday. And then we may do 3 or 4 days in a row tomorrow right through Saturday of being around 100 degrees, and then finally cooling off by Sunday into Monday of next week back into the 80s. Even the beaches very warm, unusual to see near 100 degrees at the beach on Friday, Ken.
All right, sir. I'm just looking at some traffic we have here in the area. Sorry, Mike, you caught me looking at traffic. All right, sir, we will check back with you as it is 72 degrees already, northern New Jersey, and in Trenton, it's 73 degrees now, 70 at Cape May, 72 degrees in Vineland. In terms of traffic, we have a lot of issues around the area. Debris spill US 1 southbound by Ridge Road in South Brunswick. The right lane and right shoulder both closed. Over to 47, we have a down pole. Both directions impacted south of Orange Street in Millville with all lanes closed. We have a crash on the Outer Bridge crossing. That is westbound Midspan Perth Amboy, the right lane blocked there. Let's go over to the Garden State Parkway. There's just congestion they're talking about. This is by exit 145, not for any particular reason. Did it start moving? Yeah, it was. So 2 minutes ago, that was bumper to bumper. Now, of course, that we take the shot, it's moving. That's not so bad. So they just removed it from the list, too, of congestion. That's why. All right. And our Lincoln and Holland Tunnel approaches to the Hudson River right now. Lincoln Tunnel, we don't have a camera for, but we're told now it's up to 45 minutes. It is 45 solid at the Holland. If you look at there we go. That's Route 139, making your way from 78 into the lower part of Manhattan. That's just bumper to bumper. 45 solid minutes. Over to the GWB upper and lower levels, 80-95 approach, 45 to 60 minutes. Upper level will be on the right side of your screen, lower on the left. And you can see that is not a friend to traffic right now. Just an absolute mess. Well, you know what you do on a hot, sticky day? You cool off. And we'll give you an idea of how to satisfy your sweet tooth with a nice cold milkshake. How about that? If you're looking to satisfy that sweet tooth this summer, there is a new destination. My mouth is watering. A new destination in New Jersey that is blending old-fashioned chocolate making with over-the-top desserts. The Milkshake Factory has officially opened in beautiful Florham Park, bringing a family tradition that dates back more than a century. Joining us this morning is Julie Hagofsky, who is the owner of the Milkshake Factory, to tell us what makes this new dessert spot so unique. Good morning to you, Julie. Good to see you.
Good morning, Ken. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I looked at, you bet. I looked at your website and was looking at some of the desserts. Whoever shot your website images should be given an Academy Award. It's beautiful. I wanted to eat my computer screen. So tell me about what led you to the milkshake factory, because this is part of it's a regional thing, right? Throughout the Northeast, there are some locations in Pennsylvania, whatnot.
Yes.
But are you the first in New Jersey, right?
Actually, we're number two. We're the second store in New Jersey. The first store is in Jersey City. They opened in October. And the third one opened in Somerville. And there's two more opening in Red Bank and in Ridgewood later this year. So there'll be five in New Jersey by the end of 2026.
And every one of them worthy of taking a ride to, just taking a look at it. So tell me like what the typical prep work is like at this place.
Sure. Well, I'm really excited to bring this dessert destination to Florham Park. This is a business and a family business that started back in 1914 from a family of chocolatiers, just to give you a little bit of background. And they brought their chocolate recipes over from Greece, and they are out of Pittsburgh. They have about 10 stores currently, and from a prep standpoint and understanding, we make milkshakes, which are our main business items and dessert items. But we also make sundaes and root beer floats, as well as we make our homemade family recipes of chocolate. So our day is very delicious and amazing from a day-to-day standpoint, where we can be making chocolates in the morning, but we're also making our ice cream mix and getting our shakes and inclusions ready. So no day is the same because we're always trying to shake things up a little bit differently and provide different experiences for people to enjoy the shakes, but to enjoy some family time and have a sweet treat.
The nice thing about a sweet place like that is that I always find you have one of two customers, either in out or sit down and linger, right? There's like no in between. You're either sit down, have the Sunday, talk. This is a good place to gather. It's like it's sort of like a coffee place. You're either going in to get the cup and getting to work, or hey, let's meet for a cup of coffee, and you're going to linger with somebody. I would put those in the same category that way in terms of meeting spots. But the nice thing about something like the Milkshake Factory is, number one, you're getting a very unique spin on chocolate, because Greek chocolate is a little spin. It's
Mhm.
not too dissimilar to like Southern Italian chocolate. It's a little darker, a little richer. And right, it's not like the ultra uber milk chocolate American type chocolate. This is real serious chocolate. When you first discovered that, you must have been blown away by it.
I absolutely was. Once I tasted the product, I couldn't walk away and not bring this to our community and our surrounding communities and each of our guests get a taste of chocolate and a sample of chocolate when they walk in, and you can tell from the first bite they're taken away and blown away by the taste of it, by the richness. What I love is that we give our customers that experience. And like you said, we have various different customers coming in, those who want to take it to go, but those who want to sit and have an experience together. So we love that.
Yeah. Hey, I think Pam, our director, has some images. Pam, do you have some of the stills I sent over last night? I found from their website. Just you should. I sent them over. Who didn't cut them? Ask Izzy. Izzy has it should be under the Milkshake Factory. Ask Izzy. Izzy should have them because I sent them over last night. They were sent with all the other video. I'm sorry. We're having a little technical discussion here. I took the time to cut the darn thing, so make sure we have it, please. All right, here we go. We got him coming on. Getting him coming on for you. The amount of milkshakes you have to offer, you have quite a list. And can people also ask for custom shakes if they want to mix and match?
Absolutely. We get that on a day-to-day basis. We have 20 shakes that we offer on our main menu, but we have probably about another 15 that are considered off menu, which are old limited time offerings, not old, but former limited time offerings. And currently we are running our American Classic menu, which are all those classic dessert staples, our root beer floats, our birthday cake in celebratory of our America's 250th birthday coming up. So we are all running a BOGO on July July 4th with our American Classic menu. But like you see those pictures right there, those pictures just tell a little snapshot of what our guests are tasting. But to your point, Ken, we do actually allow anyone to customize a shake. They will say, hey, do you have whatever it might be, a chocolate and banana. Guess what? We do. Could you add peanut butter? Absolutely. So we are able to really accommodate our guest requests. And we also accommodate those individuals who might have an allergy. We do have an allergy spinner.
Oh,
So we do try to accommodate the best we can those who have, allergies and want to have a dessert treat.
very nice. What is your personal favorite shake?
Oh, I probably have two. I'm a classic girl, so I love the classic chocolate and vanilla. But from a gourmet standpoint, I love the chocolate dip strawberry. And we also, the one thing I absolutely love is our non-dairy shakes. So those who want, to go the non-dairy route or need to, they are delicious, and you would never know you're tasting non-dairy.
I love it. Give me an old-fashioned strawberry with chunks of strawberries in it so that it jams in the straw. That's what I love. And then having to pull
And
out the
we
little soury strawberry bits and whatnot. Yum.
And I got to tell you, Ken, the company takes it so seriously. They make sure the straw is big enough so that all the pieces and the inclusions that are in each of the shakes, pieces of it can come through the straw. So you're not just tasting the shake and the ice cream mix, you're tasting some of the pieces of inclusion. So our guests really absolutely love that.
I love that it's a scientific term, pieces of inclusion. Give me a little chunk of strawberry. That's me. All right. What is a website for more information for us?
Sure, absolutely. It's www.milkshakefactory.com. And we'd love for everybody to come check us out or check out a location close to you. We'll have 50 stores by the end of 2026 across the country. So we're really excited.
That is exciting. And go check out Julie's store, specifically in Florham Park. Julie Hagofsky, owner of the Milkshake Factory in Florham Park. Perfect timing, hot summertime. Go and get a nice freezing cold shake, right? Thank you so much for coming on this morning. Plus, you got the BOGO on July 4th. Can't beat that. Thanks for coming on this morning,
Absolutely.
Julie. I
Thank
hope
you,
you have
Ken.
lines out the door. I hope you have lines out the door. There you go. And lots of success to you. Good to
I
have you on.
appreciate it. Thank
You
you.
bet. All right. Thank you. 8:44. When we come back, our friends from AARP New Jersey bring us a message about how one organization is keeping its human touch in healthcare while the rest of the world is being transformed by AI. We'll be right back. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, 847, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Let's go to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a hot Garden State forecast.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike, I don't mean to bring you down and bring it all down at the beginning of this report, but just to give you an update, we talked about the Venezuelan earthquake last week.
Yes.
When it first occurred, and we knew that it was going to be awful, but we're getting new numbers that show how awful it is, just to give us an idea. The latest numbers, and this is the whole part of the north coast there of Venezuela, Caracas and La Guaira and all those areas, which are very popular cities. City of Caracas, the greater metro area, has over 5 million people. 1,700 plus confirmed dead, 5,000 plus injured. And get this, this of all those numbers, this is the scariest. There are 70,000 people missing.
Wow.
A city is missing. That's terrifying. To think
It
we
is.
think of how horrifying it was during 9/11, and we had a few thousand people, and that was awful. 70,000 people missing, and not as many resources to find them as we have. That is horrifying. So please, prayers, help out with the rescue organizations. Use like the American Red Cross. Use the bigger name organizations, and try to help out our brothers and sisters down in Venezuela if you can, please. I'm sorry, Mike, like I said, to bring us down at this point, but it was just such a serious thing. When I saw this number, I had to share.
No, and it's something we'll be hearing about over the next several weeks, as they continue to get through what was one of the larger quakes we've seen in recent history, especially any time it's a magnitude that big. We have one of the biggest heat waves we've seen, at least in the last year or so. Last year, we came close with those 3 days of 100-degree plus weather, and the drought was pretty much just as bad. So we're repeating history again with all of that warm weather, the rain deficit anywhere from a half inch to 1 inch, so a little bit of an improvement considering how much rainfall we got in the last week. We've had an improvement across the turnpike, where western portions of the state now just under a moderate drought down the shore. That extreme drought has kind of suppressed itself to just Cape May County and a little sliver there of Atlantic County. But up north, as the moderate drought remains, temperatures remain hot today. We'll be up in the 90s, and we stay there going into this afternoon, likely tapping into the 100s as soon as tomorrow. The rain outlook is, well, could be worse, but it's likely just going to be a little bit on the wetter side, close to average. And then the heat continues right through the middle of the month. We likely get another heat wave in about a week's time. But first, let's take it one stretch of hot weather at a time. Starting off tomorrow around 100, over the 100-degree mark on Thursday and Friday, and then probably making it back to near 100 by Saturday. Cooling off next week, but when I say cool, that's just average heat. It should be in the upper 80s the first week of July for average, and even at the beaches staying very warm into next week with temperatures in the low 80s. This time next week, likely see another shot of rain come through by the end of this weekend. That's our next opportunity for some good soaking rains to help cool us down. So hot and warm, and that poor air quality can too, going into the next few days.
All right, Mike, appreciate you. Thank you. And the following is brought to you by our friends at AARP New Jersey. Taking time away from work to care for a new child, a loved one with a serious illness, or another family member can be challenging enough without worrying about job security. New Jersey recently expanded protections under its family leave laws, making more workers eligible for job-protected leave. Joining us now is Yarrow Willman-Cole, Workplace Justice Program Director, to explain what these changes mean for workers and caregivers across the state. Good morning to you. Good to have you on, Yarrow.
Good morning. Thank you.
You bet. It's just a thing that many people don't give thought to until it happens to them. And then they realize, or they think, my job will be safe if I ever have to leave for mom. They find out, they get called into the office 2 weeks later. You know what? We're going in a different direction. It has happened over and over again. We all anecdotally know those stories. New Jersey now expanded its family leave protections last year. So what has changed with those protections?
Yeah, well, actually, our family leave insurance program and our temporary disability insurance benefits expanded in 2018 and again in 2020. 20. And those benefits increased in terms of what workers received, so the amount of money and the duration, and also who it covered. But what we passed just recently that goes into effect in a month is enhancing job protections, because we were one of the first states that passed paid family leave, and we didn't connect the job protection with the paid benefit, which actually led to a lot of confusion. People didn't understand that. It kind of is a confusing thing when you think about taking leave, that you have to consider your eligibility for the money and for your job being protected separately. And so it really made things really confusing, and it prevented a lot of people from accessing the benefit that they are paying for, that they deserve, taking the time when they need to.
So, who benefits most from the updated law, and why was it so important to expand these protections to more workers?
Well, right now we don't have a lot of data on it. We are going to hopefully learn more. We did know that about 1.7 million workers were exempt or not covered under the eligibility criteria of the New Jersey Family Leave Act. And a lot of those employees are employees of smaller firms. So folks that worked for companies with under 30 employees did not qualify for job protection. And that's going to be reduced now to anyone that works with an employer that has at least 15 employees under the New Jersey Family Leave Act. But we also have language that's changing within the benefit itself, temporary disability and family leave insurance. So the Department of Labor is actually looking at the language in the bill, in the law, and they are going to come up with the regulations to determine what it really means for workers and businesses. Our interpretation, our understanding as advocates is that it is actually when you're taking your benefit, when you're eligible for your benefit, your job will be protected, which is kind of the common sense way to go about it.
Right. And there's and I guess, is there a certain point at which the company must pay or continue your pay, and then another point where if you need it extended beyond a certain point, your job is protected, but you don't get paid? How does it work?
Okay. Well, I wish I had a chart. I could try to send a chart so you guys could see this visual, because it's so confusing. But actually, the benefit itself, in terms of the temporary disability and the family leave insurance program, that's money that is coming out of a fund that the Department of Labor then is paying to claimants, people that are applying for the benefit. So it's actually managed by the state. So it's a state benefit that if you work in New Jersey, this is a safety net sort of support for you when you need to take the time and you're eligible for it. And it has no cost to the employer. Some employers will provide their own policy or their own benefit that maybe goes above and beyond what the state provides, because it is currently only 85% of your wages for different duration, depending on what leave you're taking. But for family leave, for the caregiving, it's for 12 weeks. And so if you look at the job protection and the way that it works, when we are thinking specifically about caregiving for family leave, usually you're looking at either FMLA or the New Jersey Family Leave Act. And those actually will lay over the time period that you're taking your family leave insurance benefit. So those 12 weeks, FMLA and the Family Leave Act do cover you for those 12 weeks, that duration.
That's fantastic. And listen, I could speak from personal experience. We encountered it in my family recently. My father-in-law passed in December, and it's a type thing where you can't plan on it. It's not something you could say, such and such is going to pass away, such and such. I mean, it is what it is. So the idea that you can take care of your loved ones at such an essential and important time, and not have to worry that additional fear of losing your job, and then having the state take care of it so a small business doesn't have to suffer. It's just a win-win-win all around. This is just brilliant. So how does somebody know if they're eligible for the protections? Is it basically, if you are a worker in New Jersey, you're automatically covered?
Not quite that easy, but not that difficult now. It's getting a little easier. And I'll say that the Department of Labor has really done a good job communicating out information to the public about if your job is protected. Even prior to the expansion, they have a job protection tool tracker. I believe they're going to be updating it for the changes in the law. Even though this law actually falls underneath the Division of Civil Rights, they're the ones that oversee the New Jersey Family Leave Act. But the Department of Labor really seems to understand that when workers are thinking about taking their paid benefit that they do oversee and again pay out, workers have to understand the dynamic of job protection. So they created this job protection kind of calculator. So that's a tool that I think people will find really helpful. But just to give you the breakdown and the details, as long as you've worked at your job for 3 months, you have at least 15 employees, and you've earned at least 500 hours, then you should have your job protected. It used to be double that. All the criteria used to be double what I just described. But then also, again, we're looking at how the Department of Labor is going to interpret the other piece of the legislation, which we think is if you are, in fact, eligible for family leave insurance, then your job will also be protected. So this means that if you qualify for the money where you just have to have earned $15,500 in the year and a half before you take leave, that's the criteria for being eligible for the job, for the paid benefit. And so that in turn will also protect your job. But we are waiting for those final regulations coming out of the Department of Labor. So I think the best advice for folks is if they're in a bind, looking into whether or not their employer is just going to be flexible, allow them to take the time that they need. Because one of the challenges that we have right now in our culture is just this pressure to continue working. You want to be an ideal worker. You want to show that you're committed to your job. And so sometimes people are reluctant to take the time. So reaching out to your employer, letting them know what's going on, letting them know that you have caregiving needs in your situation. Of course, this happens, not expected. I also have a family member, my mother-in-law, who's, dealing with going in and out of the hospital. And so I'm helping coach my husband, talking to his employer, what time he's entitled to. Start the conversation with your employer. And then, if things get a little trickier, because some employers really, they're going to work with you. But other employers, especially employers that employ lower income workers, folks that are, their employment is a little more precarious, so to speak. They may need to be told what the law does now provide and what protections do exist.
And if you're an employer out there, I have to jump in, Yara, only because we're up against a hard break. If you're an employer out there, put yourself in the circumstance. Put yourself in the circumstance and think of your employee. Yarrow Wilman-Cole, thank goodness for what you folks have done, Department of Labor, and thank you for sharing that information with everybody. Yarrow Wilman-Cole, Workplace Justice Program Director. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
And that's on New Jersey Mornings. Have a good day.